Let me repeat this. Nothing in our plan requires you to change what you have. If you like your insurance plan, you will keep it. If you like your current insurance, you will keep your current insurance. You'll be able to keep your health care plan, period.
No matter what you've heard, if you like your doctor or health care plan, you can keep it.
Fox News confirming that the administration knew, they knew back in 2010, that millions of Americans would lose their health care plans, even though the president had repeatedly promised the opposite was true. And you may remember he didn't just say that repeatedly when they were debating the health care bill. He went there again after it became law as recently as 2012.
Let me tell you exactly what Obamacare did. Number one, if you've got health insurance, it doesn't mean a government takeover. You keep your own insurance. You keep your own doctor.
Listen, I'm using that tone because clearly what they said is not true. And no one will come out. Where's President Obama? Let's hear it. Let's have the explanation. Was it misleading? Were you mistaken? What? Instead, we've got Carney trying to tell us not to believe our lying eyes and lying ears. Again, the IRS predicted this back in 2010. They said that 10 million or more would lose their health care, in part because so many plans did not meet the new federal guidelines, Obamacare. But during the debate that remade our entire health care system, which never had the support of the majority of the American people, the president promised repeatedly those plans would be grandfathered. You heard Ed say it. He said, if you've got a plan right now and Obamacare passes, you'll have a grandfathered plan. You will be able to keep that coverage and your doctor. Well, that's not true. The old grandfathering didn't work out at all because members of his administration saw to it.
The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic, and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus, by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels, Nazi Minister of Propaganda.
That the reality is the regulatory regime put in place by the Obama administration and the president. What's he going to say? He didn't know this either? I mean, this is a little bit absurd. Ed Henry was talking about the time has come in that last little clip we saw. The time has come for a reality check. It's not simply computer glitches. It's a regulatory scheme that does not work and is penalizing the American people.
My commitment is to make sure that we've got universal health care for all Americans by the end of my first term as president. I would hope that we can set up a system that allows those who can go through their employer to access a federal system or a state pool of some sort. But I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate employer coverage immediately. There's going to be potentially some transition process.
That's the key phrase, isn't it? We can't eliminate employer coverage immediately. We're just stepping stones towards that goal. That is socialized medicine. That is the president's goal down the road.
It's interesting. So basically they said, look, don't worry. If we know some of the existing plans are not going to meet the Obamacare regulations. They're going to be grandfathered, not to worry. And then Kathleen Sebelius and her department come out right after they pass the law and say, except they won't be grandfathered if you change them basically in any way at all. I mean, if you change the period at the end of the first sentence of the policy, then the grandfathering is out. Forget about it. And that basically forced these insurers to take I mean, nobody had a grandfathered plan. 70% of the people on the individual market no longer have a grandfathered plan. Yeah. All those people are getting canceled today. That's why this is happening. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. And the fact of the matter is, I can't imagine, I'm sure the president's going to deny knowledge, as Jake Carney's saying, well, he was in context. Here's the context. HHS, Health and Human Services, and the IRS in the regulatory process abandon your ability to keep the policy you like and the doctor you like, and instead they're forcing everyone, even the so-called grandfathered policies, onto Obamacare. And when that fails, Megan, watch out, it's going to be single payer, which was the plan all along, and it's looking more like that every single day. And that's another reason we're not getting real numbers on who is enrolled in this program.
Nothing in this plan will require you or your employer to change the coverage of the doctor you have.
That an estimated 2 million Americans have already lost their existing health care coverage. That despite the president's repeated promises that if you like your health care plan, you can keep it, period.
Absolutely. And the fact is, though, that this was not a surprise. This was a regulation that the Obama administration was well aware of. This is a regulation that many members of Congress were well aware of. This was a regulation that the Tea Party specifically went out and warned people about, which is why we saw people coming out in droves protesting against Obamacare. They were out there saying, look, in this law, this monstrous 2,000-page law, you are going to lose your health insurance if you're on the individual market. And here we are now, after President Obama saying not once that people could keep their health insurance, but 24 times at least saying they could keep their health insurance and their doctor, and now it comes as some big surprise that people are losing their insurance. Another big promise that was broken is that this was a law that was supposed to get more people insured, and we're seeing the exact opposite effect of that now as more people are losing their insurance than getting insurance through the Obamacare.
Your premiums will be going down, but in fact, the letter is completely contradictory to that.
Please note that coverage under your current plan will end December 31st, 2013.
Hey, listen, if you've got insurance, this does not apply to you, but it does.
Cover 10 will not be available starting January the 1st, 2014.
My insurance was going to be completely different, and they were going to be replaced with 10 new plans that were going to fall under, the regulations of the Affordable Care Act.
What I have right now is what I'm happy with, and I just want to know why I can't keep what I have. Why do I have to be forced into something else?
It's not the truth. You don't get to keep your premiums. You don't get to keep anything.
The guys I work with, they've gotten the same things, same letters. And then, when we call Blue Cross Blue Shield, they're like, we've been dealing with this all day long, every day.
The public option is not your enemy, it is your friend, I believe. Let me also address an illegitimate concern that's being put forward by those who are claiming that a public option is somehow a Trojan horse for a single-payer system.
Someone once said to me, this is a Trojan horse for a single payer. And I said, well, it's not a Trojan horse, right? It's just right there. I'm telling you, we're going to get there. Over time, slowly, but we'll move away from reliance on employment-based health insurance, as we should, but we'll do it in a way that we're not going to frighten people into thinking they're going to lose their private insurance.
Next to me was a guy from the insurance company who then argued against the public health insurance option, saying it wouldn't let private insurance compete, that a public option will put the private insurance industry out of business and leave my single-payer friends, he was right. The man was right.
But I don't think we're going to be able to eliminate employer coverage immediately. There's going to be potentially some transition process.